today I am back with another video, and this time I'll be finally doing my nails. I know that it's been a while, but I actually have a trip coming up and that's what I was waiting on. So of course the first thing that I'm going to be doing is pushing back my cuticles, and this is just going to expose the new growth. And earlier I did remove the gel polish that I had on, which was that glittery gold gel polish by Madam Glam. If you didn't watch that video, I'll be sure to leave the link in the description. But I had that for about 2 or 3 weeks and it stayed on like really good. I actually soaked it off earlier. So again, I'm just pushing back the cuticles. And then as you can see, my nails look pretty good after the soak off. I actually cut them down because they grew really fast. Alrighty, so after I finish pushing back the cuticles, I'm going in with a 180 sanding band to remove the shine from the natural nail. And then I'm also going to go ahead and get that, little bits and pieces of that glitter that I had. Or actually the gel polish that I had. It's still just a little bit of glitter left on my nail, so I'm going to get that off while I'm doing this. So again, this is a 180 sanding band. Remember that when you're doing this, you get around this cuticle area really good. And also make sure that after you remove the shine from the natural nail, you don't want to touch the nail at all. And also if you're doing your clients, you want to make sure to tell them not to touch their nails, because our fingers have oils on them. And if we touch that nail, you're gonna, transfer those oils to the nail. And a lot of the time you could possibly get lifting, from just touching the nail. So make sure that you're really careful. Alrighty, so we removed the shine from this hand. So now we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing on this hand. Remember that you can do all of this with just a regular hand file. It just helps a lot to just use a drill because, it speeds up the process. But if you're still a beginner and you're having problems with, working the nail drill, then I would suggest, just practice here and there. But if you're not really just comfortable at all, then you can, of course, use a hand file. You just want to make sure that you get around that cuticle area really good, because that's the most important part. Alrighty, so I went ahead and removed the shine. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and dust the nails off. And then next I'm gonna be applying the nail tips. So I'm gonna be applying the natural nail tips. These are the same ones that I have on my website. And then of course I'm gonna be using the KDS glue. Remember that when you're applying nail tips, your nail tips are gonna come in a number 0 to 10 or 0 to 9, depending on, of course, the brand of your nail tips. But the number 0 is always gonna be your biggest tip, so it would be like for your thumb. 9 and 10 are always gonna be your pinkies, and then, the other fingers in between are gonna be like these, or, your thumb or whatever. So we're gonna start off with the pinky. Remember that when you're applying nail tips, you wanna make sure that the nail tip fits from sidewall to sidewall. So that's from right here to right here. As you can see, this one, which is a number 9, sorry, it's still like a little gap on the side of my nail, and which I actually have a little bit of gel polish on there. I'm gonna go ahead and take that off. Okay, so since that one's a little too small, I'm gonna go up to the number 8. And as you can see, this one fits perfectly. So all you have to do now is just apply the glue on the nail tip. Make sure that you're holding your finger really straight. Place the nail tip down and hold it down for a few seconds. And then let it go. And that's it. Alrighty. So next finger, usually like my ring fingers are either gonna be like a number 4 or number 5. So we're gonna start off with number 4. That's a little too big. I'm gonna go down to a number 5. And this one fits perfectly. Make sure that you also don't apply too much glue because then it's gonna run all over the side of your nail. And also make sure that you hold your finger like super straight. You don't wanna, you know, be holding it to the side. Just hold it either like this or like this. Alrighty, so I finished applying the nail tips on this hand and this is what they look like. So now we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other hand. So I do suggest that, you know, you measure each finger individually because a lot of the time I know that this thumb is smaller than this one. So that means that I'm gonna be using different size tips because I know there's people that like might measure, you know, this one and then get 2 tips, and then they might measure, you know, each one and get 2 tips for each finger. But again, a lot of the time your nails might be a different size, so make sure that you measure each one individually. Alrighty, so again, we applied the nail tips. We used the KDS nail glue and then my natural nail tips. After that, we're gonna go ahead and go in with the tip cutter and I'm just gonna trim them down. I wanna kind of leave them pretty, not super long, but longer than usual. So I'm probably gonna cut like, no, that's way too long. Like right there maybe, and I might come back and like cut them down some more depending on how I feel. Okay, this might be way too long, but I'm gonna leave them like this just for now. Let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and, wait, no. I'm gonna go ahead and trim the other one down as well so I don't have a hard time. So I'm gonna leave them like this, and then if I want to or need to, then I'll trim them down some more. But now I'm just going in and I'm gonna just cut the sides of the nail tips because this is gonna help us save time whenever we start shaping them, because of course I'm gonna be doing a coffin shape. Make sure that when you're doing this, you're using a straight edge nail clipper, not the ones that are like rounded. Get one that's like straight. Alrighty, so I trimmed the sides down on all of them. So now I'm gonna go in with my 100 nail file and we're gonna be shaping them into a coffin shape. So remember that when you're shaping them coffin, you wanna go at a 45-degree angle on these sides. Make sure you go exactly from the sidewall towards the tip, and you want to put most of the pressure on the tip. Make sure that you alternate from side to side. So again, putting most of that pressure on the tip because that's what we want to get more narrow. All right, and then when you're shaping them, make sure that you're paying attention to your shape. As you can see, that's kind of about how like wide I want them at the tip. So now I'm just going in and following them at a 90-degree angle at the free edge because that's about how like wide I want it. And then I'm gonna go in and just blend the nail tip right in the middle. So there you go. And then of course, if you want it more narrow, then you can just file some more on these sides. But it's always gonna be 45-degree angle and then 90-degree angle at the free edge. So same thing, 45 on the sides. Again, make sure that you alternate from side to side because you don't wanna file too much on one side and then your nail will be crooked. Alrighty, y'all, so here is the first hand after we shaped them. So now we're gonna do the same thing on the other hand. So again, 45-degree angle on the sides. Alternating from side to side. Alrighty, y'all, so I finished shaping up my nails. So next we're gonna start applying the acrylic. So Of course, before we do that, we're gonna apply the protein bond, and I'm using the Young Nail Protein Bond, which has been working really good for me. The reason why I changed was because not too long ago I was having lifting, and I think I've already mentioned this before. I was having a little problem with lifting, so as soon as that happened, like I got all new everything. I got new drill bits, I got a new primer, I got a whole new set of acrylic powder and monomer because I honestly didn't know what it was causing the lifting. So just to be safe, I went ahead and got all new everything, and I had heard a lot of good things about the Young Nail Protein Bond, which is why I decided to switch to this one, and it's been working really good for me, and I haven't had lifting anymore. Alrighty, so for the acrylic, I'm gonna start off by, of course, getting my paper towels. I use the Viva paper towels, and you can get them from almost anywhere, Walmart, Dollar General, wherever. I'm gonna also be using my Frosted Pink acrylic powder, and this one is that off-white color that everyone likes, and I just added some glow-in-the-dark powder so it does glow. And I actually got this one when I went to Dallas, and I just started using it. I thought it was, since it said Frosted Pink, I thought it was like an actual pink. And then when I opened it, or actually I seen a picture on Instagram, and it looked like that, like nut color or the off-white color, whatever you want to call it. It looked just like that, so that's why I started using it. Monomer as well. And then of course for my brush, I'm gonna be using the Alpha brush in a number 10, and I'll be sure to leave the link in the description. So I know what I want to do, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start off with, let's see, I'm gonna start off with my ring finger, and I'm just gonna go straight in with the Frosted Pink. So remember, we applied the first bead right in the middle where the natural nail and the tip meets, brushing it down towards the tip, making sure that if we get anything on the skin that we wipe it off. Just like that. Next bead we're gonna place right below that first one. Okay, and then also make sure that when you're applying your acrylic and you're brushing it down, that you wipe the sides down, because that's going to take away from your shape if you don't. And then when you do that, it helps, with reducing, I guess, time once it comes to filing, because you don't have to do that extra filing. So next we're going to apply that third bead closer to the cuticle area. Remember that when you're doing this, you want to work with just a little bit of product at a time, because then you don't want to have to do a lot of filing at the end. And remember, clean around that cuticle area as soon as you've seen that product running to the sides, because if you wait and it dries, it's going to be really hard to take it off. Alrighty, so now we're gonna go ahead and encapsulate this with the Mia Secret Pink. Remember that when you're using colored acrylic, you want to go back in and encapsulate it, whether you're using clear or like me, I just like to use the Mia Secret Pink. The reason why is just because it's really translucent and you can barely tell. And I don't have a lot of clear, so that's why I always just use this one. But whatever you prefer is fine. All right, so that is our first nail. Remember, clean the sides really good. That way it doesn't take away from your shape. Here is what it looks like from the side. So it's really nice and smooth. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the pinky, and I'm gonna be using this bottle of acrylic to kind of hold my finger on it or place it on there, because it's pretty hard to, you know, keep it stable. So same thing, we're going in with the Mia Secret Frosted Pink right in the middle, patting it down and just brushing it down towards the tip. Remember to be really gentle when you're doing this. If you brush down too hard, you're going to be brushing away that product. Next bead goes right below that first one. And I like to, you know, have some sort of method when I'm doing acrylics, just because I feel like it makes the whole process a lot more easier, just because you know exactly where you need to add acrylic other than just going in and just applying anywhere. But remember that even though, you know, if you're doing a certain method like the 4-ball method like I'm doing here, you still want to make sure that you look at the nail from different angles. And of course, if you need to add a little bit more, then you can just go in and do so. Alrighty, so it looks good. So now we're gonna go in with the Mia Secret Pink. And we only use just a little bit because again, you don't wanna skip this step, because then if you just go back and file with your drill, you're gonna be filing away the color acrylic, and it's gonna make your acrylic look really patchy. So make sure that you encapsulate your acrylic. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. Alrighty, so we did those 3 fingers. So now for the other 2, I'm gonna be doing the milk bath with the flowers. The reason why I'm not doing a lot of them is because I'm not like a big flower person. So I'm only gonna be doing it on the middle finger and the thumb, and I think it will still be pretty. So I don't even know which ones I want to use. Let's see. I'm just gonna pick up whatever, you know, comes first. So what you want to do is just do a thin layer of the off-white color, the milky color, whatever you want to call it. Just a thin layer. And then after that, you just want to pick up your flowers and place them on the nail. Make sure that you press them down so they kind of stick to the acrylic. So be sure to work, quick. That way they can still have time to stick. So I'm just gonna leave it like that. So now I'm gonna go in with another bead of the milky color, and I'm just gonna kind of do it like over the flowers. I don't want to necessarily cover up the entire nails with it, but you want to give it like that foggy effect. Okay, so just like that. And then now I'm gonna go ahead and encapsulate them with the Mia Secret Pink. Make sure that you encapsulate them really good, because of course, since the flowers are a little bit more bulky, then you don't want to file them off when you come in with your drill. Alrighty, so we're done with the thumb. So now we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the middle finger. So again, we just do a small bead of the milky color on the entire nail. And while the acrylic is still wet, be sure to go ahead and place your flowers all over the nail. Okay, so just like that. So now we're gonna go in with some more of the milky color over the flowers. And then after that, we're gonna encapsulate them with the Mia Secret Pink. Alrighty, so we're done with this hand. So as you can see, it looks really good. So since I already have the flowers out, I'm gonna go ahead and just do the other nails as well with those. Let me see. So as you can see, I'm just using a mixture of different flowers. So just whatever you prefer. So same thing, we're gonna do a small layer. If the flowers are no longer sticking, just be sure to add just a little bit more acrylic. That way they have something to stick to. Alrighty, so we are done applying the acrylic. So now we're gonna go ahead and of course reshape the nails. So same thing as earlier, we're filing at a 45-degree angle on the sides, and then of course a 90-degree angle at the free edge. Remember, this is a step that you do not want to skip, because once you apply the acrylic, you get those rough edges. So you just want to go in and perfect your shape. Alrighty, so we reshaped this hand, so now we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other hand. Alrighty, so now we're gonna go in with the Scarlet Melody Susie nail drill, and I'm using a extra fine drill bit by Pana. I'm gonna set it at 10,000, and of course, as always, we start around the cuticle area first, going from the right side over to the left side, just going back and forth until you're able to see where the cuticle is, where the natural nail is, and where the acrylic is. That way you know that you won't get any lifting, and then also of course filing the rest of the nail to make sure that it's all nice and smooth. Alrighty, so as you can see for the thumb, we just finished filing. So as you can see, you're able to see where my cuticle is, where the natural nail is, and where the acrylic is. And then also the nail is all nice and smooth. I'm gonna go in just a little bit more. But make sure that, as you can see, I'm looking at the nail from the side, because once I turn it, that's when I realized that it was like a little bump right in the middle. So make sure that you always look at your nail from different angles. So same thing for the rest. Start around the cuticle area. Start from the right side, work your way around the nail to the left side, just going back and forth. And remember that you don't want to leave your drill too long in one spot, because it will cause friction and it will cause your client's your client's nail to burn as well as yours. Alrighty, so we finished filing this hand, so now we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other one. Just of course be a little bit more careful since, especially since I am right-handed and I'm doing this with my left hand. Alrighty y'all, so I finished filing all of my nails. So now I'm gonna go in with a buffer and I'm just gonna buff them really good. Remember, this is just going to get rid of any of those scratches left on the nail from the e-file or the hand file. Alrighty y'all, so I finished filing and buffing all of my nails. So now I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands and I will be right back. Alrighty, so I've washed my hands and this is what they look like. So now I'm gonna be applying some bling. So I think I wanna do the pinky like a full bling now. And then the ring finger, I wanna do like the tip. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do the tip on this one. All right, and the color that I used, of course, is the Color Club Hard Bonnet polish, which is a holographic polish. And then, of course, I'm gonna be using my SS6, my SS12, and then my wax pencil as well. And then I think I might add some bigger pieces in there as well. Alrighty, and then for my glue, I'm using my Bling adhesive by Soleil. I actually got a new bottle, so this is what it looks like, and I actually had it in the refrigerator. That's why it looks like this, but it does say that it says work best with activator, and then it also says to keep refrigerated. So you know, hopefully that helps with it not being so thick. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this on my ring finger. And remember that when you're applying bling, you want to make sure that you're alternating between the different sizes. Alrighty, so I ended up adding a rhombus right in the middle. And then for the pinky, I'm gonna do basically the same thing. I'm gonna add a big piece in the middle. Alrighty, so we did the pinky and the ring finger. I think for this one, I'm just gonna do some like around the cuticle area. Just like that, and then I think I'm just gonna leave the other two plain. So now I'm gonna go ahead and spray the activator spray, which is the Mia Secret Gel Resin Activator, and this just helps that glue dry a lot faster. And for my top coat, I'm gonna use the Madam Glam Gel Top Coat, and I'm just gonna be applying this on all of the nails. Alrighty, so I applied the top coat and this is what they look like. So now I'm gonna go ahead and place them under the light for 60 seconds. Alright y'all, so I just cured this one for 60 seconds. So now we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other hand. So here is the final look. They turned out really pretty, really nice and shiny, and I love the flowers. As you can see, I didn't want to do too much of the milky color on these because I didn't want to take away too much from the flowers. I know that's kind of like the purpose, but this is how I wanted to do them. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at GetNailed32, and I'll see you guys next time. And here is how they look like in the dark. Nice and bright.